This ornithological paradise didn't happen merely by chance. Two factors have coincided to bring this about. The conservationist approach that has been implemented on the Masaguaral Ranch for more than 50 years now, and the strategies that birds have developed to enable them to survive in these surroundings. Here we have a pair of southern lapwings giving a territorial display. The southern lapwing is a native of the savanna. It can be seen at any time of the day searching the ground for insects, either alone or accompanied by its mate. It can tolerate the fierce sun without the need to take refuge. We have never seen it in the shade. It has two red spurs on its back that it uses in flight to scare off intruders. As we observed this pair, we concluded it was more than likely that they were about to lay their eggs, or had already done so. The next day, we watched them closely. The only way to find the eggs is when one of the parent birds goes to shelter them from the sun. Otherwise, they are impossible to spot, and we'd run the risk of stepping on them. There are already 3 eggs. Usually they lay up to 4. Eggs that are camouflaged on the ground run the risk of being stepped on by cattle or even eaten by predators, such as the caracara. Nevertheless, the facts prove that this is a highly successful strategy. Its warning cries across the savanna are a permanent note in the music of the Venezuelan plains. When the lapwing sounds the alarm, it is because there is a possible predator nearby. The southern lapwing is not the only bird to nest on the ground. The double-striped thickney is a creature of the night and twilight hours, and it too feeds in the savanna on insects and invertebrates. During the day, it remains motionless, perfectly camouflaged to blend in with its surroundings. It has the large eyes of a nocturnal hunter. The double-striped thickney only lays 1 egg on the ground. It is very difficult to find, as it is a silent creature, and its song is much quieter than the strident call of the southern lapwing. Inaccessibility is, broadly speaking, the main weapon employed by birds to keep their nests out of the reach of predators, and birds of prey are masters of this art. This pair of white-tailed hawks has selected a high-voltage pylon as a platform on which to build their nest. They nest here every year. Besides being inaccessible, which makes the nest practically impregnable, this is an excellent vantage point for watching for prey in the savanna, usually small mammals and lizards. The aplomado falcon is a small bird of prey that hunts birds in flight. This pair usually nests in this tree in the savanna some 40 feet above the ground. The tropical mockingbird doesn't like having anyone else nearby and will do everything it can to chase the falcon from its territory. The tropical mockingbird belongs to a group of birds known for their exceptional singing abilities. This bird is also found in many other parts of Venezuela. Its tail is longer than its body, and it moves with a graceful gait to prevent the tail feathers from being damaged. It usually builds cup-shaped nests with small twigs. This pair has built its nest in a hole in the corral, something it has done for several seasons in a row. It has learned from experience that the cattle are not rounded up at this time of year, and that the hole will not be used to house one of the gate's crossbars. The yellow-rumped cacique is another typical vocal inhabitant of the Venezuelan plains. Its call is loud and varied, and it imitates other birds so well that it has fooled us more than once. The yellow-rumped cacique is polygamous and nests in colonies that vary in size from a dozen to hundreds of individuals. This ensures the survival of the offspring and provides an alarm system to warn of predators. In addition, the nests are enclosed structures and hang from slender branches. These associations, while somewhat uncomfortable, provide considerable advantages when it comes to rearing young, as demonstrated by the herons, for example. Occasionally, we come across somewhat strange associations, dictated by circumstances, such as this nest, which we called a four-family residence. An old plain-fronted thornbird's nest, abandoned since last season, has now been occupied by 4 tenants. A family of plain-fronted thornbirds live in the penthouse, probably the original owners who have returned to rebuild their home. On the floor below, there is a pair of cattle tyrants, the building's most dominating inhabitants, who fight with the other residents. Then come some troupials, who are perpetually hassled by the cattle tyrants. And living quietly in the basement is a pair of blue-gray tanagers. Tree holes are typical nesting places for birds such as the woodpeckers, and 3 kinds of woodpecker have made their home here in this dead tree. The species that nest in this manner, either by drilling their own holes or by using holes made by others, have found this to be a highly effective strategy for dealing with predators, except for certain tree-climbing snakes. The need to take a bath is common to all species of birds. That is how they cool down and get rid of the parasites lodged in their plumage. The approach to bathing may differ, but not the rhythm. The pair of southern lapwings have laid all their eggs, and now they will take turns for more than a month to protect them from the sun and prevent them from being stepped on or eaten. They employ a number of tricks to do this. As a rule, they don't go near the nest if enemies are nearby. The southern lapwings are also artists when it comes to putting on the broken wing or lame leg routine to distract a predator's attention and entice it away from the nest. The double-striped thickney has no such skills and can barely fly, which means that all it can do is camouflage itself. The crested caracara is one of the main enemies of eggs and fledglings in the savanna. It is constantly on the lookout for insects and invertebrates on the ground. Occasionally, caracaras share a feast in the savanna with others of their kind or other carrion eaters. This time, other caracaras and a savanna hawk have come to join the party. The savanna hawks usually keep watch from fence posts or palm trees, always at the ready to fly off over the savanna in search of small rodents, crabs, and lizards. Sometimes they return to their perch to eat their prey in peace. This time we have a female and her chick fighting with some caracaras over the remains of a dead iguana in the savanna, probably left by some feline the night before. While the mother keeps watch nearby, the chick competes with the caracaras. The chick is clearly hungry, so Mom lets him get on with it and keeps watch as he learns some new hunting skills. The caracaras are more likely to be seen feeding with one another when the carrion is still fresh and the vultures are still not due to arrive on the scene. On these occasions, a series of behaviors can be observed that establishes a kind of dominance ranking, and this, in turn, determines which individuals get first chance at the food. These behaviors can go from simple skirmishes to minor physical attacks, where the dominant individual establishes itself as the top bird. Once a hierarchy has been established, they all eat at the same table as though nothing had happened. The sand dunes are the home of a very strange species, the burrowing owl. It lives in caves, either built from scratch if the soil is sandy, or converted from holes left by other creatures. The adults have yellow eyes and eyebrows. Their head, back, and upper parts of their wings are a creamy color. Their breast is barred, and they have a white stripe on their throat. The young birds have brown head, back, and wings, and a white breast. Unlike other owls, they are very active during the day and have a loud warning cry. They fly only short distances and perch on fence posts. When they feel threatened, they move to another cave. They have several ready for such an eventuality. They feed on a very wide variety of animal species, particularly invertebrates and small vertebrates. They nest during the first months of the year in the caves they use as a refuge. They are usually monogamous, but cases of 2 females with 1 male have been observed. In the breeding season, they are on the go around the clock bringing food because the average family is 4 chicks, as in this case. Near the 4-family residence, a yellow oriole is starting to build its nest. Construction will take about a week, with the oriole visiting the site several times a day with strands of dry grass, which it weaves in until the pouch, woven in the best tradition of the birds that use this technique, achieves the required consistency. Another tiny weaver is the common toady flycatcher, which crafts its nest on the tips of slender branches. In nearby copses, other species are going about their business. The crested curassows, no longer found in many parts of the country, used to be considered excellent meat for the pot by Indians and settlers alike. However, wholesale hunting has considerably reduced their numbers and has made them very shy. It is possible to see them at dawn, provided we're well camouflaged. They come down to the ground to drink and to feed on leaves and other plant matter. Gray-necked wood rails make sporadic forays into the clearings from the shelter of the forest to drink and search for prey. The sun bittern is a spectacular bird that is very common at Masaguaral. At first glance, it looks like a striped heron. It blends perfectly into the background in the places where it hunts, at the swamp's edge and on the banks of ponds. It has a very odd way of moving its body, sometimes moving it forward, but without changing the position of its head. It hunts tiny insects in the water, mainly flies and horseflies. When it spreads its wings, it has two huge false eyes with which it tricks possible attackers into believing it is a much larger animal. Here we were lucky enough to film a pair as they strengthen their ties before getting down to mating. A veritable concert of whistles and gestures is brought into play as they communicate with one another. Conditions in the plains favor the presence of large numbers of insects, and this is why Masaguaral is the home of such a rich variety of insect-eating birds. Jason Mobley came here to study certain aspects of these birds.
I came to Masaguaral to investigate variation in nest site selection and nest structure of 7 of the 16 tyrant flycatcher species known to breed here. I'm studying molecular systematics and the evolution of nest building in a group of tyrant flycatchers, collectively known as the kingbirds and their allies. This group provides an interesting model, as the nesting habits of the approximately 33 species within this group range from cup-shaped and spherical dome nests with a side entrance to nesting in cavities, and even the appropriation of active nests of other bird species through incessant harassment of the owners. Using DNA sequences from several genes to infer the evolutionary relationships among the species in this group, I hope to achieve a better understanding of historical transitions in nest architecture and how this relates to current species distribution and habitat preferences.
Some weeks have gone by, and the chicks of our pair of southern lapwings have left the nest. They leave the nest almost as soon as they hatch and become gypsies of the savanna, following their parents. The parents will take care of the chicks and protect them from their enemies when things get tough. Most of the time, their natural camouflage makes them practically impossible to find, just like the eggs. The double-striped thickneys do the same with their single chick. They leave it hidden in a small patch of bushes while they feed, and then move on to a new site. The display the male put on against their predators to make itself appear larger is quite remarkable. When danger threatens, they flee with their young. This young white-tailed hawk has already become independent and acquired the skills that will enable it to survive on its own. In spite of the tropical mockingbird's unsuccessful attempts to oust it from its territory, here we see it tearing at and devouring a small iguana. There are already 4 Aplomado falcon chicks in the nest. Our presence is making the parents very nervous. When both calm down, the female returns to the nest and the male leaves to go hunting as the afternoon draws to a close. He manages to catch a duck. Some eagles are lying in wait. A young one closes in, and the Aplomado falcon loses its prey. The caracaras, keeping watch nearby, attack the cheeky young eagle en masse and end up with the prey. The tropical mockingbird chicks have hatched and are being taken care of by their parents. The yellow orioles are also feeding their young. The common toady flycatcher is doing the same. The male passes the food to the female, and she gives it to the chicks. In the ponds, the waders get on with their business, one of the delights of the Venezuelan plains. The birds that inhabit this magic place truly seem to be living in paradise.